Coach Down with Kerri and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
Yo, what is poppin', everybody? Evidently, homegirl can't figure out how to go live on her Instagram. But we're going live with Nana, so you know what? It's all good. Also known as Miles Morales. Is that what this Spider-Man is called? Because I don't even know.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What you talking about? Miles Morales up in his bitch. What you talking about?
All right, I'm with it. All right, so for anybody wondering what is happening, this is the Brightside Chronicles with my incredible host, Nana Agyemang, also a different character on random days. And today he is Miles Morales.
Spider-Man.
Because he just recently did a Spider-Man skit with our amazing friend Anna, who we had hoped to have on, but she could not join us, which is all good. And then I'm Kerri Lewis, your other host. And we are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. to bring a little bit of joy in this world for you. The reality is in a climate where we hear all of this fear-based narratives, Nana and I really want to encourage people to enjoy the bright side of life, to step into, what makes you laugh and what brings you joy. And so that's what we're here doing. Nana, obviously dressing up as Spider-Man, evidently. Today is making you laugh. But what else has brought you joy today?
Oh, man. I mean, first and foremost, thank you for having this space for anybody that's watching, because that's what we look forward to on Thursdays. I mean, I look forward to it regardless of whatever it is. Right now I'm battling allergies, so you will be hearing a couple sneezes. Ideally not, but just letting y'all know. But going back to the point where you're saying is what brought me a sense of joy today? Oh, man. I mean, you know what? A lot of things did today because, it started off like the day got to the gym, which I absolutely love. Being Spider-Man, sometimes it's hard to get there because I'm saving people sometimes, or just kidding. But no, I went to the gym this morning, had a very, very good session. It was an hour session, did some shoulders, did some bis, did some tries. And then
I'm pretty sure you ran into a really cute blonde there at some
I think it was probably like Mary Jane or something like that for like Spider-Man or something.
Mary Jane? I don't know about Mary Jane, but
it was like Gwen Stacy. I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah, I think it was Kerri, but we just Okay, so you got in a great session. I love it.
Yeah.
And real quick, for anybody out there, please, if you guys want to join the conversation, please do so. Me and Nana love to interact with our listening audience. Ataya, I see you. I'm about to drop your comment in my right
now. Yo, wait, who's on here?
Ataya just dropped a comment that I'm about to post right now for you, my love.
Shut up. I'm at the gym listening to you. Yo! Shout out, yeah. Thank you very much.
And we know that she be dancing, shaking those hips. Okay, for anybody out there, we're gonna get Ataya on this show because we know that what brings her joy is to dance, and to create video. She does an amazing job doing that too. Yep. But anyway, I digress, babe. I cut you off. So you're good. Time at the gym, and then
So after the gym, I came home. Then I got ready for work, which I was really excited for because I knew my friend's dad was going to stop by. Sadly, Uncle Ben, my uncle that passed away, couldn't make it today. So, it's fine. Technically, Miles Morales is not related anyhow, but that's besides the point. But yes, so my friend's dad came in and he had his vehicle totaled, so he needed a new vehicle. And we were able to get him a car that he actually really liked, which is a brand new Kerri. So I wanted to say shout out to that win for that, for sure. And I love how I always trying to see what it says over here. It says, I would love to hang out with Kerri, Nana, and Mary Jane. Bro, this is wild. Shout out to you, Mindy, for that, by the way. Yo, so going back to the point was my friend's dad bought a vehicle and he was so excited because this man is a really good dude. It's just he was down on his luck because his car just got totaled in the car that he loved. And we just sat down and we just shot the shit for a bit, figured out what made sense in the Camry hybrid, and he wasn't sure if he's going to get approved. Thankfully, we were able to get him approved, and he is beyond ecstatic. And I told him I'll try to get the car ready for tomorrow. So that set the transition for the day. And then I had a couple of really good opportunities with like meeting people that a lot that it's a work in progress, but we're just still pushing. I mean, all in all, it's all in a day's work. And sometimes, Spider-Man just comes and saves the day, and it just happened to be cool that I'm wearing a superhero outfit today. So
I want to jump in. So Amber Lee Shreves said the Shreves loves your energy and your heart. So let me just shout out, if you're still watching.
Yes, sir.
Whoever these friends love. Her husband's name is Ben, babe.
Oh, what? Uncle Ben. Hey,
Uncle
yo.
Ben, so that's hilarious. But Amber Lee sends me videos of her amazingly talented daughters.
Okay.
And one that comes to mind right now, and you'll actually appreciate this, is Brooke and her softball team. And they were dancing. And I was like, yes, girl, because she was so empowered as somebody her age, which is amazing to see. And then Quinn also puts herself out there too. So shout out to all of them. And something else that I loved seeing, and you're going to really appreciate this, Nana, is Amber Lee was telling me that Brooke's coach had challenged her to go on a ball, one of those yoga balls that you and me die on when we're doing our core exercises. Yeah, that. Yeah. So she needed to stay on that while pitching softballs into a net. And this girl, I can't remember how old she is. I want to say 13, but I don't know that that's true. 14. Anyway, she's young. She stayed so disciplined to do it. And that's the joy that I love, because these people are showing up and saying it's not easy, but I'm gonna stick to it until I get it done right. And so
let's
shout
go
out to all of them. I love them so much.
Like,
yes. But anyway, so I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah.
And say,
what's about your day? Like, how was your day?
My day was awesome. Okay. I mean, but that's the thing, is we get to experience so much joy because we're open to it, right? And this is what I really want to encourage people to consider. Even if we have moments that feel really difficult, and this morning was one of those moments where I woke up and it just kind of felt hard for me. I don't know why. I was in my head, but I was determined not to be persuaded or like dictated by stories in my head.
Yeah.
So I just continued to do things until I felt joy, which was ironically going to the gym, hitting a new PR. I hit 100-pound single leg hip thrusts. Woo, woo. Working on them booty gangs, baby. And then I got to show up and really spend a lot of time in connecting with beautiful people that I unfortunately get to work with, who teach me and show up in curiosity and are willing to consider new perspectives. So, it's really important to me that I love what I do. And if I don't love it, I don't do it, because I don't know. What's the point? That's what I got to say.
It's so true that you bring that up, because there's a really good quote by a man named Drake that he quotes in one of his songs. His quote, I know you heard the name, you start getting hiccups and everything like that. I get it. You're not a fan. But he quotes a line where he says, as soon as I stop having fun with it, I will be done with it. And I think too many times, like, per se, I say this about even with my job. I love absolutely what I do, right? I love helping people. I love just being that like superhero in a sense of like, hey, somebody reaches out and they need help, and I able to, help them to kind of figure out what makes sense. But if it ever got to the point where like, I felt like my duty was completed and I wasn't doing my job to the best of my abilities, I would probably be like, okay, like I'm over this phase of life. But thankfully, with the goodness of everything going on, I'm grateful to still love what I do. You know, what I mean, there's tough days, but that's with anything in life. Like there's always going to be, rough patches of life, because if there aren't any downs, the ups don't feel that much more exciting. You know, what I mean, it's sad to say, but not in a bad way. But
Nah,
yeah.
you know what? It's so funny. So I ended up connecting with my friend Nathan Rossner,
Hmm.
and he and I grew up together. I mean, we were hellions. As I'm talking about like 12, 11.
Hmm.
We jumped on a call today, and I was like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you for 20 plus years."
Yeah.
And Nathan did share that he was going to join my show, What's Your Story, to share some of his story, but he has gone through a lot. And he is in recovery. I won't spoil that show, but
Uh-huh.
he and I were talking very much about this idea around I fundamentally believe we need to have struggle in order to appreciate the joy.
Yeah.
And because I go on a tangent a lot about the fact that I struggle with an over medicated society, because a lot of the mental health drugs out there, while they do prevent people from getting really, really low,
Hmm.
it also prevents people from experiencing the joy you and I get to
That is
experience every
absolutely
day.
true. That
Right.
is
And I can tell you, I'm working with some people right now who are catatonic. Like
okay.
they exist, but they have no emotions. Like they show up with without this feeling. Now, do I think that medication can benefit people temporarily or even long term, monitored with other tools? Of course, absolutely, but I
Right.
do
Right.
think that it's important that we have the ability to feel our feelings. I
Well,
think that that is the gift. We are meant to suffer so we can experience the joy that is
well,
accessible to us all the time and in every experience when we're open to showing up that way.
and I love that you bring it up, because this is actually pretty funny that I'm wearing this Spider-Man outfit, because if you think about it, have you ever seen Spider-Man by any chance? Either of the movies? Okay, so you probably haven't seen it, but there's a guy called Peter Parker
Well, I
that
know who
is
Peter Parker is.
okay.
Our daughter is Billy,
I
so
was
I
gonna
get it.
say, so in the first Spider-Man, one of the earlier ones, what happens was there's a scene where not grandfather, his Uncle Ben, ends up passing away. So what had happened was, I believe I might be wrong because I'm speaking from Miles Morales' point of view, but what it is that there was a guy that was like a robber, and instead of Spider-Man trying to prevent him from robbing the person, Spider-Man had, I think he had won like a match and he just got paid like a very minimal amount of money. So he was pissed and then let the guy had robbed the people that was supposed to pay Spider-Man, and he let the guy go. And he's like, yo, like, stop the guy, stop the guy. And Spider-Man's like, I'm not stopping him because you guys didn't pay me my money or whatever it is. Out of frustration and anger, which understandably, later on he finds out that same criminal is the one that basically robbed his uncle and basically unalived him, quote unquote. Or yeah, whatever. His uncle basically came to the fate of that person. But that's what I mean with the struggle. Like that moment showed him in a sense of like him being frustrated and everything like that. Maybe sadly that's what kind of transpired because of that frustration. And it happens all the time. Even with myself. I get frustrated with like life in general and work wise. And you know, if I have a off gym day and I'm just like so out of it, it's frustration. But then there's also the other end of it of like, there also are really good days that you have, like days where you feel like everything's like just going in your way. And it's like you're passing all the green lights and every red light just can't get you apparently. But there's some days where some red lights will stop you. So I thought it was just kind of cool that you brought the analogy of that, and then it being related to a sense of like the Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse as well too. So I'm gonna keep playing off of it. I really like that we're walking this.
Of course you do. Well, you know what? Every time I will tell you, I love Metro Boomin, and I
Ooh,
can't help but think about the soundtrack that
yep,
he created
yep,
into the Spider-Verse. And I
yep.
only know that because you and Billy go
Very
to the
good.
shows, and then Billy shows me the songs. But um,
Very good album.
that is definitely I don't know, what's he do? Is he a DJ?
He's
What's
a
Metro
producer.
Boomin?
He's actually one of the top producers in the world, believe it or not.
Okay, well, whatever he is, I love his music, and it definitely pumps me up at the gym. So that's
Hmm.
real.
I give
Um,
you that.
but Here's the thing. I'm gonna get a little deep here because I do that.
Talk your stuff.
I will.
Oh boy. Oh, sorry, wrong character.
I know. Oh, Mickey Mouse is coming out. I
No,
mean,
he was last
I
week.
feel like I need the ears with
Nah, that
Spider-Man.
was-
You can't disappoint,
Right,
babe.
I have to go disappear and go grab it, and then you know how that goes.
I love it. But we have the opportunity to reset in any moment.
Mhm.
There are very few days where I sit in a lot of suffering now. And it's usually temporarily. Like, even even on my worst day when I'm like, it's that time of the month, and I'm like, hey, I'm
Shout
feeling a
out to the
little
women that
extra
go through that. Shout out to the women that go
spicy,
through that.
extra spicy.
Yeah.
Right? Even when we were at the show, right? I crashed out for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I was cool again
Yeah.
because I realized that I have an opportunity to make a different choice all the time. And the choice that I want to continuously make is to show up in compassion and love for myself,
Yeah.
even when things feel a little challenging or difficult for me. And that
Understandable.
truly is why I seek joy, right? So if I'm struggling with something, I am going to do something purposefully to bring me joy, whether it's
Joy.
play Metro Booming or Kendrick Lamar, just
Shout
saying.
out to K
St.
Dot.
John,
He's
shout
really
out
good.
you, my peoples. But I
Yep.
actually was listening to Pink Floyd today at the gym. But anyway, I'll do something purposefully to shift my mood because I'll be damned if I let my own mind create more misery than I need to. Right. And it is our mind. And this is, I just put out a short because I was talking to people I love very much.
Correct.
And the reality is we cannot think ourselves into healing. We have to take action. If I'm miserable and I'm like, oh, I wonder how I can feel unmiserable. Well, guess what? I'm just feeding that misery by trying to figure out how to overcome the misery.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, oh wow, this feels really difficult, what can I do to shift my mood? And then I take action, go for a walk, call you, play music, dance
Yeah.
like a fool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
I
many times.
immediately disempowered that negative thinking in my mind and created a joyful experience for me. And it's like that. It takes nothing.
So, and I'm glad you bring that up too. Another prime example was, this past weekend, right? So I had gone to a con with my nephew on Saturday. So my nephew Austin, he's about what, 14, if not mistaken.
He is.
So 14, he's younger, just trying to be like his cool uncle, which I guess I'm the cool uncle in the family. Sorry, Manny, but
Oh, you talking spicy. You
but
talking
basically,
spicy.
so
Manny, you better come for his neck.
so basically, he wanted to hang out with me. So he was dressed up as Ash Ketchum, and then I was dressed up as Pikachu. Obviously, I work out, so I have a little more of a buff physique build, which I'm grateful for. But it was cool to see him interacting. And I get it. When he first got there, he was a little nervous because, what I mean? Like, he's a 14-year-old just trying to figure out, like, life in general with friends and things of that nature. So he's with his uncle. And I'm just, like, the most random uncle that you'll probably meet in a while. So, like, we're walking through the con. It's a smaller con, right? So this is, like, it's in a hotel. So, before we got there was so many funny things that even happened. Like, we ran into a friend of mine that was at the gas station that we just happened to stop by to just say grab some snacks or whatever. He was there, and then I was like, oh shoot, you're here, like what the heck. So we took a picture. Then we get to the place where the con is at, the hotel, and it's one of my college friends that I hadn't seen like 10 plus years. He just happened to notice. He's like, no, and I was like, oh, this is freaking hilarious. Like an ongoing theme of like people just showing up out of nowhere. And then we get to the con, and then there's like vendors, people with like so many different things to bring to the world, whether it's a sense of like card games or, martial arts, giving people pins. And then like, I don't know, there's just so much going on. And then we walk into the con, he's a little nonchalant and just quiet. He's just like, I was like, do you want any pictures of anyone? He's like, no, like I'm good for right now. I was like, let me know. Like, don't be, you gotta be shy. Like you're with your uncle who's like, just a social butterfly. And so little by little, he started seeing like all these people, friends of mine that just started tagging along with us. He's like, a couple people here. And I was like, yeah, I'm grateful. These are the bonds that I formed with people just by just being myself. And that within itself is a huge thing that like I want to instill in him because I know that he is young. I wish I had that role model when I was younger. In all honesty, like I have my siblings, that kept me on my head, but like didn't have any like, like really, older cousins to be like, oh man, like that cousin's kind of cool. Like we were all around the same age, so it didn't really like make that much of a
Well,
difference.
you know what? I want to touch upon this because this came up for me with a client today. So I sent out a I don't know, a message that explained the fact that we're all energy and that we vibrate at a certain megahertz, right, of energy.
Mhm.
And when we choose joy, right,
Yeah,
we vibrate at a higher energy. Like we emit an energy that is attractive for people.
correct,
And
correct.
yes, it's a choice, kind of like what you said earlier, Nana. Like there are days where it can feel like a struggle. You have
Mhm.
called me on the phone feeling really frustrated at work
Oh
and
yeah,
said, "Babe, I'm going through it." And you made a choice to reach out to me to be able to like, I just need to reground, reset, and come
right.
back at it
Yeah,
so that you weren't stuck in that energy. When you make those choices, you immediately raise your energy, and then people tend to be attracted to you. And the reason I love that Austin and Aliana and Aziel and our daughters have you as a role model is you choose joy even when things are difficult. And in doing so, you give them permission to not only be themselves in a world that
correct.
really looks for you to conform, you also teach them that they always have an opportunity to decide a different perspective, one that
Mm,
feels more supportive and nurturing rather
yeah,
than disempowering, which I think so often we fall into the habit as humans of disempowering ourselves by focusing on the negative rather than taking an action that can bring us joy.
correct, correct. And then speaking of that point too, um, it goes back to the con experience that I had. So I'm walking through the con just with Austin and a guy in a Spider-Man, ironically, face mask comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, we challenged each other to push-up competition once before. Do you remember?" And I was like, "Of course I do. It was at the Rhode to the T. I knew exactly which con it was, and I knew what he was dressed up as a character at that time frame. He was dressed up as Nanami from, JJK, which is Jujutsu Kaisen. So that was the one that you were at. Ironically, you were literally with me that time, and we
The one
recorded it.
I really despised or the one that was me like I could handle?
You could handle that was
Okay, yeah,
the
yeah, okay,
second
that
time.
was Kineticon.
The second time, yes, it was Kineticon. So like that one was
I
cool.
remember, cause I was like, Rhode Island
No,
Comic
yeah,
Con,
Rhode
I
Island
won't
was
be showing up there anytime
well, they're
soon.
both busy. It's just at certain days. So like Saturdays are chaotic, and then Sundays it is what it is. Like Sunday's a little more mellow. But literally, he came up to me and he challenged me to a push up. And I've always told myself, any con that I go to, I always want to go to like have a push up match with someone because I think it's just cool. Like, and it's not to beat them; it's more just to like promote the physical aspect of like I'm a buff guy, so like he got to know how to do push ups. You know what I mean? Like how to, what I mean? That's just kind of like a funny thing to me. So like literally the gentleman coming up to me, we did the push-ups. He was Spider-Man, the original one, and then I was Pikachu. So like it was kind of cool to see that moment. And then my nephew's just sitting there like, this is what my uncle does when he goes to these cons. And I'm like, yeah, this is like literally it's just a vibe. Like I can go buy stuff or I can just hang out with people. I ran into Ashley and Alex who were freaking awesome. They were Velma and Scoop. I mean
Oh,
Velma
I
and
know,
Shaggy.
and they killed
They
it. That
did.
was
Even the
awesome.
voiceovers, like did you see the video on like
No, I didn't
Instagram?
see the video, but
Bruh,
I wanna jump in real quick because Mindy said
what did it
she
make me
so
say?
wants, what'd she say? She said I so wanna stop focusing on the negative. So
Mm,
here's what I'm gonna tell the
mm,
listening audience. We are pre-programmed to think negatively. So for
mm.
anybody out there who may be hard on themselves or judging yourselves, don't. One, judgment never serves, and number two,
Right.
you're literally wired to do so. This said, we do have the gift, right? And this is a human gift of willpower.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this mid-cingulate cortex. I talk a lot about it with my clients, right? It's like a bicep muscle, which, by the way, I'm really that baby's talking.
I
Anyway,
see. Training that muscle.
like a bicep muscle. If you've never flexed it, it's weak, it's floppy. But if you start working it, it gets stronger, right? That mid-cingulate cortex is I know. We see your muscles.
Oh,
Trust me.
muscle. Sorry.
Everybody be loving the muscles. I get to be the one feeling on them muscles.
Yeah.
I'm starting to say it.
Let me go back to regular Spider-Man. Hold on. Let me go.
No, but anyway, hey, I get to tell people I'm with a different person every week.
Hey, yo. Who do you see where you with?
I don't know. Dora the Explorer, Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse. Woohoo!
Goku Vegeta in the background, just watching.
No, but seriously, mid-cingulate cortex, it's responsible for willpower and resilience. The way you build it up is by making one consistent small action over time. And so one of my newer clients works in a really challenging environment, and they like scent. They like smelly smells.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a candle that feels really, really good. And every time you start to catch yourself really crashing out or being overwhelmed, smell the candle and then celebrate yourself. It's something as simple as that, done consistently over time, that can help you reprogram your brain to naturally think about joy. And that's the reality. It takes work. You and me have both had to work and continuously need to work and make choices to lean into joy. But every time we do, we're building that muscle, and it becomes easier and easier to do.
Well, speaking about that point too, is that you can literally like train yourself to keep thinking that way, though. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Is like, and it's to you can always on and off it, right? So per se, I'm at work, I'm zoned in, but once a customer comes in, I kind of like switch it on and off, and it's not to be like phony or facade. It's just I know when to like just be in that mindset of like, let me get in front of somebody and how do I build that excitement and joy, right? You know what I mean? Like people already come in, they're scared as hell. Like, you know what I mean? Because what I do is obviously sell cars. So like that already is perceived as like, oh my gosh, you're going to be there for like 5 hours and it's going to be a drag and it's going to be lame. Like I got in front of the gentleman today that literally told me those same exact words. And I was just like, hey man, like, I mean, that's an old notion. I don't want to be associated with that thought process of it. I want to make it fun. I want to make it exciting. I want to show you the buttons and things of that nature. Like he's probably used to something because I remember him telling me, he's like, the last car I bought, the person just gave me the keys and just said, hey, take it for a test drive and come back. If you like it, great. If you don't, then, you know, so on and so forth. And I'm just like, damn, that's tough because that doesn't give any type of experience to be memorable. You just literally just like didn't care and you just I just want to sell your car or not. But like when I was talking with this gentleman, it was so cool because I was like, what are you going to use it for? Like, is it for family wise? Are you moving things? Because he's looking at a truck. He's coming out of a sedan into a truck. And I'm just like, are you going to be hauling stuff? And he's like, yes, I have a little boat. I have 3 kids. They're 14. And then there's 2 twins that are 15. I was like, oh, that's funny because I have daughters too. So like spacing in the back, make sure they fit. And you start building these little things to kind of like, not even to like gear them towards the car. It's just to narrow it down so they realize, oh, maybe I might not need some of these things. And we're on the right vehicle, which ultimately came down to just like narrowing it down. And he was so grateful for it. And he's like, hey, I'll head out there to my son's game. I was like, I remember you guys were talking about, yes, he plays hockey. And then one of them plays baseball for Wachusett. So he's not making it up. He literally was telling me like he had to be at a game. But he texted me. He said, what time are you in tomorrow? And I'm like, that's how it should be. Like, you know, not every day I'm going to walk into a dealership and sell 5 cars, which I'm grateful for when it does happen. But it's the days that like you constantly work to get to where you need to get to, and then it eventually just works its way to come back if you do the right thing and the right steps and you keep in that sense of joy. And I get it. Like I have my moments. I really be like locked in at work and it might come off, you know, not to all people as friendly, but I know when to also be friendly. Like, I don't know. That's just my take on it when it comes to
I want to touch upon 2 points, right? So our daughter Julia was awarded the Integrity
Shout
Plus
out to Jules. Shout out to
award
Jules.
yesterday.
Yes,
Which,
sir.
so as I listened to the teachers list the reasons why these individuals were highlighted, a lot of it had to do with perspective and choice
Mm.
and making a choice to show up positive or look for the positive in situations that can feel really difficult, whether it's doing a test or having a disagreement with another student or whatever, is making that choice.
Mm.
And I think that is such a powerful insight that I want to continue to impress upon our listening audiences. You and I, we're humans too. We
Mm-hmm.
go through things all the time.
All the time.
You and I were just at the hospital. I had to deal with a health thing, which was a colonoscopy. Wicked fun, guys. I bet y'all are looking forward to that. But even with that, we still have an opportunity to have fun doing it. And in fact,
Oh my gosh, that was so cool. You gotta
we
tell them about it.
made such a positive impression on the nursing staff when
Yep.
we were there a year ago
Yep.
that the nurse who was working on another floor came down
Yep.
to say hi to us. There was 3 nurses in our room. You would think we were having a party.
Like it was like a little like what is it? What's it, like a gathering of some sort.
It was so fun. And not only that, the nurse who came down said, you guys really were the dose of medicine and energy I needed to get through my day, because it's been a tough day. And I was like, see, that's what brings me joy, is being able to be that joy for another person. Even if I just say a kind word, even if I, smile at somebody as I'm walking by, I really work to cultivate that presence of joy at all times. And when I'm not as good about it, and I'm not always, I really do work to continue to bring myself home to joy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that you pointed that out, because I remember when we went up the elevator or whatever it is, and we got out and we looked. Well, I looked clueless because I didn't know where we're going, and then the lady recognized us. One of the ladies literally recognized that. She was like, "Yo, like you guys were here like a year ago," and I remember her face as soon as she said it. I was like, "Oh yeah, like we were shooting the shit like just because, like you know what I mean, like we were waiting for whatever it is." And it was super, super freaking awesome. Like it was just like a cool moment to see and talk about like the amount of excitement that like, it was, her name was Tara. She came down. Oh shit, we got a special guest here too.
Hello.
This is what I love.
Wow, pull up. How are you?
Wow. Got him with the Miles Morales mask there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you know what I really loved is you popped on just as the poop comment showed up.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm the poop.
It's the headphones.
Yeah, I just saw your text message. So,
but so here's the thing.
This is awesome.
To the listening audience, first off, this is Alexander, and he has an incredible podcast. I want to say it's the Space God Memoirs, but I always mess it up. So
yeah, you got it right. Yep. The Space God Memoirs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But Alexander, literally, I just shot him a text and I said, "Hey, our guest couldn't make it. You want to join?" And then here we go. And this is the joy of being open to unexpected stuff.
Yeah. I figure my evening is free today. It's a nice day. And I was just like thinking like, yeah, these two are awesome. I love this show. I love you people. So good opportunity to do some awesome stuff again.
Let's go.
All right, so my question to Nana, and I'll now ask you, Alexander, what brought you joy today?
Ooh, I'll have Alex go first. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, you know what? I'm not always in a state of utter joy, but I'm working on it. And, I was processing some stuff, decided to take a really nice walk through a local forest preserve today. and just like went off the trail, went into nature, these giant trees surrounding me, through creeks, and just like sat there, meditated for a while. That's what brought me joy today.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute though. Babe, I gotta jump in because you just proved our point,
Yep.
Alexander.
I knew you were gonna say
literally
this.
just said what Nana and I were talking about. It's not that we're always in joy, but we take action to not sit in the shit. Which is what you said. You're processing stuff. When we process stuff, sometimes it feels hard, icky, sticky. But instead of just sitting in that, you literally went for a walk and you grounded into energy and you were able to cultivate and tap into joy.
Correct.
Nice. Yeah. You know, I know it's not always the easiest to get out of like negative thought patterns. They tend to kind of spiral one into the other, each one like enforcing the next. But eventually you gotta be observant of that and realize that's not you. It's just this like trap of the ego mind or something that once you get caught into it.
So freaking true.
But that goes to taking action, which I am on like a huge like pedestal about right now. I'm my soapbox is taking action this week.
Yeah, awesome.
Because I really believe our greatest addiction, humans' greatest addiction, is overthinking. We think we're going to think ourselves out of suffering. Newsflash, the more you think about your suffering, the more you're suffering. Even if what you're doing is, wow, I feel really, really awful. I wonder how not to feel awful. I feel really awful. Instead, wow, I feel really awful. I felt awful for a while. What can I do? Oh, I'm going to go for a walk. You go for a walk and voila, I don't feel so crappy anymore.
Yeah. The key there, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's so freaking true though, because it's like this little moments that like break the monotony of life. You know what I mean? Like there's too many times like, you know, if I hit a certain patch where I'm just like constantly going, I'm like, dude, I need something to like switch the pace of it. You know what I mean? And I'll throw in like a random, like, let me go do something that's just off the rails. Like, you know what I mean? Like I went to a cosplay karaoke night, which I'd never done before last month, but it was so much fun. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I got to be back here again. And obviously I can't make it this Sunday because we're going to one of our friends' birthday events. So shout out to Lindsay, by the way. So Lindsay, just know the cosplay karaoke, you don't mess it up.
Nice.
But like,
sounds awesome.
It was just one of those things that breaks the monotony of life of like, I'm just not in the same like pattern-ish, and it just like kind of just resets me a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I found that like our old patterns reinforce the same old states of mind. And much of what we think of as ourselves and our thoughts are just like these patterns that are playing out. And I've heard the advice before from like spiritual teachers and like self-help people. If you want to make a change, just make some little change to your daily patterns, like take a different way to work, do something different, because that breaks you out of that habitual mindset. And you know, we were talking before about suffering, and the thing is, the key to that is the I who is suffering. Like if you get, and I know a lot of the teachers I've studied under have said like all that suffering, all that stuff is in your mind. So to get out of that, you get beyond the mind.
Well, you're 100% right. I 100% have found for myself in my own journey, I have the key to unlock myself from the cage of suffering, and I have the key to keep me caged. And it is all about the choices that I make moment to moment. And I'm gonna give you a real, this is as real as it gets, which I keep it real all the time. So I asked Nana to show up early because we had technical difficulties last week. And he's like, babe, I'm leaving work now. I'll be there. And my thought was immediately like, I keep doing all this work for the Brightside. And then I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? And I immediately just was like, that's just a made up silly story. Had I gone down that path, I could have been grumpy when Nana jumped on, but instead I just laughed at myself and I was like, this is so ridiculous.
And the funny thing is, I'm literally like a 3-minute
I know.
like if at most, like right down the street. So like I was like, I'll get there. And then I was running a little late because I've been battling allergies because it's the time of the year.
Yeah, but babe, I think that the important thing to highlight is exactly what Alexander said is we really are embedding neural pathways with the choices we make.
Correct.
Our thoughts are not our own. They're really like they're just, we have all of these thoughts, right?
Correct.
It's when we feed these thoughts that they start to embed into the grooves, the neural pathways of our brain. But if you have a thought and you realize like the ridiculous of it, you just kind of laugh and be like, okay, keep moving on. And again, that's the practice of, to what you were saying, Alexander, we have the opportunity to free ourselves from suffering in any given moment. It's just catching yourself in your thinking and then deciding to make a different choice.
Yeah. You know, it's possible that like none of the thoughts we have are our own at all. Maybe they're just floating around in what some people call the noosphere, this kind of invisible space. And it's up to kind of us as just this observer, this present moment to decide how to utilize them. And, you know, as someone who does creative stuff, I have all sorts of weird thoughts all the time. Some of them, you know, bizarre and strange, you know, some of them highly awesome and beautiful. Some just like horrifying and horrible and monstrous and evil. But I don't have to identify with any of those. And
so true.
Who's to say our thoughts about ourselves and our day-to-day lives are any different?
It's so true, because I mean, think about it, that creates the sense of like creativity that you put in your art, in your craft. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, too many times I think when people hit like, say, like a writer's block, they'll like, you know, go do something that changes the mentality of it for them to build that creative space. So like even the thoughts that you're talking about, that goes a long way, because you just never know what it might transpire to a new idea or a new character or some sort of series or things that nature. Like, perfect example, right? So we're going to our daughter's dinner last night, and I was in the bathroom just brushing my teeth, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna wear for this outfit at high school, right? So I'm over here sitting there, I'm just like thinking, I'm like, well, I'm gonna be at a high school, I want to do something kind of funny and cool at the same time. First thing that came to mind was Power Rangers. For some odd reason, Power Rangers came up to mind. So I was like, well, they're from high school. They're high schoolers.
They were initially, yeah.
Yeah, literally, like, just the high school kids, right? So I'm like, okay, Power Rangers. And then I was like, well, I can wear an outfit because I have the color scheme for it. So I have the red, I have the yellow, I have the black, blue, green tie, and then the pink jacket. And I was like, oh, those are 6 colors that I can mix it. So I don't know why Power Rangers came up, but I thought it was funny. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can do it and see who's going to catch on to this. And thankfully, this one over here was smart enough to catch on to it right off the bat because I told her about it. But I was like,
I did not catch on to it. All I know is my man showed up with a pink jacket, a green tie, blue pants, red shoes, and was it a yellow vest? I don't even know.
No. So it was. So technically, it was a yellow jacket because you called me Yellow Jacket, which is funny as well. Yellow jacket. I had a pink vest. I had a black t-shirt underneath, green tie, blue pants, red watch, and then I had red sneakers. So that's all the colors. I didn't put the White Ranger because, you know, he came on later. But anyhow, that's besides the point. But
you were basically the human Megazord.
Correct.
And it's funny. What I loved about that is when you looked around the room, our 2 tables of family, every single person who showed up to support Julia showed up as their unique individual self. You had some people dressed up, you had some people dressed down. I was wearing studded boots, you know, and I thought it was such a beautiful representation of the role models and examples that Julie has in her everyday life, which then leads for her to feel empowered to be the advocate and to show up integrity and support her school in the way she does. And I love that. But going back to the weird, Alexander, you know, 2 points I want to touch upon. One, who's to say our thoughts are our own? You're 100% right. Yanko and I talk a lot about when you're tapped into energy, I can feel people's anxiety. I can feel people's energy. And so who's to say I'm not picking up on their thoughts too? And I have no doubt I am. And so that's why it's really important not to feel like you have to identify and attach to your thoughts, because you don't. And if they do not feel supportive, nurturing, make you feel loved, empowered, then dismiss them. They don't serve you. And then the greatest compliment I got about our show, the Brightside Chronicles, somebody who's very close to me was like, wow, your guests are really weird. You being one of them, Alexander. And I looked at him deadpan and I was like, I know, right? I freaking love it.
And then Robin,
that means you're uniquely you, that you're not showing up trying to impress anybody else.
Oh, admittedly, I am. I mean, I got this ego part of myself too that wants to be seen by everyone, that wants to be heard, that maybe even wants to impress everybody with just how weird I am. I can't deny that. But I'm really self-aware of it. You know, that's a step. And speaking of impressing people, by the way, before going any further, Kerri, great hairstyle. I like what you're doing with it. You're like totally going more rock and roll.
I did it myself yesterday. Well, okay, I bleached it. I'm waiting for my homegirl, Jahira, to get a fresh cut, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I absolutely, like I said, I'll never forget when I showed my mother a picture of Nana. She said to me, wow, he's really weird. And I was like, that's the best part of Nana. He wasn't weird. We could never be together because I'm my own kind of weird. And that's the thing about being in joy is when you are happy, when like you are comfortable with just showing up fully expressed as yourself, how you show up, then you welcome everybody else's full expression to how they show up.
Oh yeah.
And we don't try to determine how they are.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're doing good for yourself, you don't care what others show up as long as they're not hurting anyone.
Correct.
Yes. I said that earlier today. Nana and I were talking because I was listening to my homeboy DMX. For anybody out there, like I love
that's
DMX.
your guy.
Sure, DMX.
Rest in peace. But I was listening to his song "Where the Hood At," and I was like, at the time when I listened to this, I had to be 15 or 16, right? I'm be 45 next month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, he was seriously homophobic, which I said to my brother-in-law, which then lended to a conversation about that between my brother-in-law and I. And I was like, I don't understand the big deal. Like, what do I care is what you're doing in your bedroom? If that makes you happy, you're not hurting me none. And because I like who I am, and I certainly don't want anybody telling me that I can't show up with Spider-Man in my bedroom. Then why do I care?
Sorry, I couldn't help it. That was my fault.
Oh yeah, great choice of the Marvel stuff. I happen to have my Groot T-shirt on today.
Let's go!
Oh, okay. So Mindy wants us to talk about dismissing people from our life. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but if I were to guess, well, I can only say this. If you're not adding joy to my life, then it's not that I don't love you and it's not that I don't wish well for you, but you're not in my everyday experience. That's 100% right. The way I see this, don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you.
Yo, first and foremost, I want to give a couple of shout outs to like Connor, to Mindy, to even Alexander hopping on here, even to my friend that just wrote Ask for Nana, which I'm grateful for. You know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know, I think it's just we have such a cool general audience of like,
I know, and Amberly Shreve.
Yo, shout out to Amberly as well. Shout out to Amberly as well. Like literally, I think it's just cool just to see like who taps in, because you never know. Even though Taya hopped in here, you never know who might need this like brief hour of just talk yourself and just put out the good energy. So I just want to at least give a shout out to the people that are watching. That's all.
Yeah, shout out to all of you. Thank you for watching.
And just so you know, Alexander, you have the link. You're welcome to pop in
Correct.
during any guest anytime. Me and Nana are never going to be like, oh.
No. This was like a surprise. I'm surprised my spider senses didn't tingle when you popped in here. I was like waiting for it to be like, oh shoot, like.
Oh, it's because I'm not a danger to you. They wouldn't.
Oh, there you go. That's just what it is.
Yeah, if I were,
a
Green Goblin or something.
I like it. Like these characters, I get to like this. Pick out certain things about it. So I appreciate it.
I'm just sad I didn't show up, get a chance to put my Deadpool mask on to match.
Yo, you should have. You never know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But, yeah. Talking about like getting rid of people from your life and dismissing them. Sometimes like it's not going to be easy. Mm-hmm. Like I was in like a really passionate, somewhat loving, but really toxic relationship for over 10 years.
Correct.
And, there was the whole spiritual thing involved there of like, oh, we're twin flames, you're my soulmate. But ultimately that never contributed to helping any of the problems. So eventually, like when the person started becoming really fearful and angry and getting into some really dark politics, I just couldn't be around her anymore. And I absolutely had to go no contact. And it hurt. It really kind of burned away a lot of my beliefs, hurt me to the core. But I think I came out of it stronger. And sometimes it's going to be a challenge to eliminate people who aren't so good for you in your life. But
Alexander, would you not say that as you shedded what no longer served you, you opened yourself up to receive things that were more supportive and nurturing?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I encourage people to consider this. When we hold so tightly to what we know based out of fear, it's fine, right? That's certainly your choice. But in doing so, you're also blocking the gifts that want to come into your experience. And so it's really being able to recognize, I'm going to keep it real. My ex-husband is an amazing man. He really is. Ask Nana. He's awesome. And yet he no longer met my needs in a way that felt supportive for me. Yeah. And so I was able to walk away, and that hurt. And yet when I walked away, out popped Nana Agyemang. And in that, we experienced a love that I would not have otherwise known if I held so tightly to what was good, but no longer served me.
Of course, And, obviously it takes some self-awareness and self-control to get to that point, but keep practicing at it and you can do it.
And courage.
And you know what? Yeah. It's actually pretty cool because I just put up a quote that I just randomly thought about a couple of days ago. It's saying like, when you're looking for the best version of yourself, you're going to end up losing people along the way. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. Yeah. It's just that you're just outgrowing the space that you used to fit in. So thus giving you more leverage to just keep bettering yourself. And it's just, sometimes you have to have the discussion of being like, hey, look, we're just on a different path. I mean, we've all gone through breakups of like, you just realize at a certain point, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you both just start seeing different ways. You know what I mean? Like it's just, life happens like that. But at the same time, that's okay to have it. Like you're going to outgrow people regardless. So you're in a different space. If I'm big about like, who comes into my energy, right? If I walk into the room and I feel somebody's a little off to me, I'm very big about like, maybe that's just not my person. And it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they're not the person that I really associate with. Real talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like my spider senses just start tingling out of nowhere and I just be like, hey man, like I might be good from that part. You know what I mean?
The gentleman gamer, mic drop.
What do you say?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
You only got two hands. Can't grab the good things if you're still holding on to the bad. Yes.
That's good. That's awesome. That's a good.
I like if you're Aaron. Aaron can juggle real quick, so you know what I mean?
The gentleman gamer probably has some kind of awesome YouTube channel about gaming.
That's actually my friend that I met actually at WickedCon that I went to last week, and he's super good dude. Like nice. It just was like great energy right off the bat, and I was like, man, like I appreciate you for just being cool. And he's just like a very down to earth person. So I will be seeing him at some cons this year, and we will create some content and come up with some cool stuff. So like I can't wait. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. Mindy, you have my phone number. I'm not gonna post that, but you can message me at 8:10 if you want. What was I gonna say? I just lost it. I don't know.
You good. We were just talking about the whole dismissing thing, but that's not a bad thing. It's just so you just outgrow people in certain spaces, and so on and so forth, and and it says, the gentleman Gary met. See, I be meeting people everywhere, bro. I'll be like forgetting sometimes. I'll be like, yo, we could have met here, there, anywhere, but just
is that a pirate convention? Har.
I might show up. Me and Alex might show up as Jack Sparrow and just call it a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were so funny. We got 5 minutes left. Really, honestly, Alexander, you were just a party in a box because I see you in a box. So I really hope that you join us whenever you're called to.
Mine.
The gentleman gamer. I don't know if you know how to get a hold of Nana, but please do. You are welcome to join our show. I'd love to.
We would love
about joy.
I mean, even with a cool ass name like that, we might need you on here. Just say,
right?
I gotta know what this is about.
And just so you guys know, Nana and I were talking the other day about the Black Mamba, because we were talking about how Kobe locks in, and when he's locked in, he is driven to achieve a certain goal, and it's not that he is like, his competition is himself. And Nana's the same way. And he was catching heat by somebody. It doesn't really matter who. And I was like, go get him, Yellow Jacket, because Yellow Jackets sting. And I'm like, I'm just saying, go out and do what feels good for you. And
So basically, I'm getting a Yellow Jacket tattooed over here. No, I'm just kidding. That's not how it works.
But Alexander, what do you want to impress upon the listening audience in the next 4-5 minutes that about joy, or anything that you have been able to cultivate that allows you to experience joy in your everyday moments, even when you are processing and navigating through difficult things?
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to share something I got from kind of a guided meditation earlier this week.
Okay.
Where basically in the guided meditation, I was having this kind of inner visualized visionary experience of this voodoo king come up to me and tell me that one of the secrets to really living your best life is don't hold back. Don't be afraid to show you're crazy and you're beautiful to everybody, and who cares what they think, Maybe that's something we could learn from some of the jerkier politicians out there who don't care what people think of them, even if they're jerks otherwise.
You know what? I really, again, for anybody who's watched any of my shows for any length of time or who knows me, there is a beautiful explanation around energy. They took like 20,000 individuals, and I want to say this was a test done in Spain where they put these individuals in a environment that was void of energy. So there was no external energy. It was just this individual's energy. And what they found to be true is the most powerful energy above unconditional love is authenticity. And authenticity for me, guys, is allowing the present moment to unfold without trying to change it. So if you feel called to sing, you sing. Nana wants to put on a Spider-Man hat. He does. Alexander is called to jump on the show randomly. 20 minutes in, he does, without getting in our head and saying, oh my God, somebody's gonna think this is weird, or oh, I can't do that because I'm gonna be judged. That's authenticity. And we are so powerful in that place. And so allowing yourself to just be fully expressed, because when you show up in your pink pony club or whatever you do,
gonna try that sometime.
You are powerful. And then you give other people permission, by extension, by embodying that power, to be powerful themselves.
Awesome.
Well, before we go, I feel like it's only right to drop a Spider-Man-ism. And as the great Uncle Ben once said, with great power comes great responsibility. And that was basically it. That was
Nice. All right, guys. Until next time, thank you so much for joining episode 8 of the Brightside Chronicles. Alexander, as always, you are a gift to my heart and soul, and I love, love, love your weirdness. Connor,
Love you both too.
Amberly, Ataya,
Okay.
Gentleman Gamer, Mindy,
Shut
and
up.
all others. I am just beyond grateful for your joining us, engaging. Please share, like, and keep being amazing. We love you
Alright.
all.
And I
Until
gotta
next
go.
Yeah,
I gotta go
everybody.
save the world. So I will
Thank
see
you.
y'all on the flip side.